We should be live now. This is crazy, man. YouTube and okay, let's see. Right now it's showing Twitch is connected, streaming, and now YouTube is connecting or streaming now. Okay, and they should be all the correct titles now. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to I'm so used to streaming on Twitch. It's very strange to be using something new and streaming to multiple platforms. Okie doke. All right, we have the chat little manager here. I think we should be all ready, Freddy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, hello. It is your boy Trix or the Beetle. Today, with another game deving stream. Today, there's a lot of things we could have done. We could be working on the dialogue box. We could be doing work on... Oh, I don't know. Actually, the big thing right now is the dialogue box. Yeah, the dialogue box. We could be working on the new mop mechanics. We could be working on making layered dirt maps. But I think something I'd rather work on is some level design and concepting. Largely because... I don't know, man. I feel like I've kind of coded myself out a little bit today. We had a version release at my day job, and that was a lot. So I think we're going to take some time away from the code and put some more time into the game deving or some art. Which is exactly what today's intentions are. It's going to be an art day. Art day. And maybe even some asset making. But anyways, yeah. So I want to spend some time today doing some art, brushing off our environmental stuff. And I'm going to see if we can't get some we got some inspiration. I found some really cool, I don't know, I found some really cool environmental photographs on Instagram. It's crazy using Instagram for its intended purposes of just taking artistic photos. It's kind of crazy. Anyways, but yeah, I found a bunch of pictures that I could probably construct into a mood board. And now it's just a matter of getting some stuff down on paper. But before we do that, I don't know, I kind of want to do a little detail. A little detail, if you will. A little doodle. So we're going to do that. And wow. Let's go back to our character art, actually. Let's go back to this guy. So we did his illustration, and in fact we have the character portrait here for him. Though I might want to modify a little bit and make it, yeah, no, not the Dude Corrupt sprite. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, we've done a couple iterations on his face. There's one more iteration I want to explore, which is this one. I feel like it's a nice in-between or concession between the very anime style than this one that seemed a little bit more tired-esque. It almost feels like those rubber hose animation style characters. If you know what I'm talking about. Where is this? Yeah, this iteration. It's much more triangular. And it creates some gaps here. Honestly, the way it's depicted, you'd even have no whites of the eyes and just have this be pure skin like that. But it feels very ambiguous. If it doesn't feel very clear what his expression, well, this makes it more clear. This way it doesn't feel very clear what is skin, what is eye, what's this, the sclera? I forgot what it was, the whites of the eye. Or supposedly the white of the eyes. Yeah, I don't know. Makes things feel a little bit more ambiguous. But a little bit more toony as well. I don't know. Day and night, very different. Alright, anyways. Enough with him. Let's just do something to break the old art. Not block, but just get the gears going. Maybe we'll do a pixel art of this character, maybe not, I don't know. Just want to do a character. I'm not sure what we're gonna draw. It'd be kind of cool to draw a character that kind of deviates from the ones we've drawn already. We've drawn like pretty anime girls, a lot of pretty anime girls, or anime styled girls. We've drawn some a guy. Let's draw somebody a little bit different from that. A more withered man. Two things I haven't done. Someone who's a bit older. And a guy. Old man with a bucket hat. Well, it's not really a bucket hat. It's more like a practical hat for blocking the sun. Right now it has the shape of a more typical bucket hat. Maybe if we flare the rim a bit more, it can look a bit more different. And then of course, get the little bags. Now the key here is going to be how we depict the eyes. There we go. And what do we end up here with? We also have to make a choice about the hair, his hairstyle, both on the beard and the backside. We have to make some choices. We could give him some long locks. We can give him short, more practical hair. I guess the question is, what kind of guy do you want to depict here? So I suppose if he has a very well-groomed mustache, he's a more well-groomed kind of guy. And I imagine if he's a farmer and he's old, he's been doing this for a while, so he's seasoned. He knows how to... Here he has his setup, his getup, his tools, his way of doing things. So I imagine he's not going to be as unprepared. If you want to be extra gruff, you can give him very strong, heavy eyebrows. Can't go wrong with those. Yeah, look at us. Look at us. We have a nice little character. Let me pour myself some tea. Very nice. I should probably check to make sure the streams are streaming too. I'm just trusting Restream to be working as intended, but I should probably verify that we're live. And we are. Oi! What's up, Terrell? Hey, and it works. And it doesn't have the Restream IO thing. That's cool. Let's see how YouTube is working. Yep, shows that we're live. Beautiful. Beautiful. No, I should have defined that. Save. How are we doing today, though? Strange day, right? Maybe not for you. It's probably the same old as far as stream is concerned. For me, it's brand new waters. Brand new waters. In fact, this is probably a long time coming, because I think part of the reason we switched from Trixelbit to Restream.io, or from the old Trixelbit channel to the new Cozy Cabins channel, was the fact that I can restream here without any issues. I mean, I doubt that Twitch would act against me on if I were to do restreaming on Trixelbit, but you know, I like to do things by the book. He looks strong. He's old, but he looks like a strong old man. He looks like a strong old man. He looks like a chat old man. He's an old man I wouldn't want to mess with. It kind of looks like he has a ponytail back here. That'd be a very, maybe not bold choice, but kind of cool choice. Like, he's distinguished, but he still has his wild hair back there, showing he still got it. Okay. Flip test. I realize his hairline isn't quite defined. That's okay. Sweet, another character. I'm not sure what we're gonna do with, but he exists. This character exists. Therefore he is. And what's the resolution we're doing here? 64 by 64, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is about 64 by 64. I know I said we were gonna do environmental stuff, but I just like June characters, so we're gonna. Doesn't hurt to warm up with a character piece before going into the meat and potatoes. The meat and the potatoes. You know, I just realized he just kind of looks like Mario, dude. He looks like an old man Mario. That's what we created for ourselves here. Meow, meow, meow. I should probably turn on this guy too to make sure we have stream chat popping up. At least one stream chat. If Stream.io turns out to be a thing I want to keep doing, I have to make changes to StreamWorld so it can support this application as well, or support 2 or more platforms. That's a whole thing we have to worry about later. I already have enough on my plate as far as this is concerned. So crunchy. Deep fried his features. Yeah. That's what downscaling does. It just noms all the feature. Becomes a blurry mess. And I can't tell what part. Like, this is the wrinkle, I'm guessing, but then what do we do with the eyes? How do we keep the shape that we intended for the eyes? Becomes a whole thing. Now it's a question of, are we going to make him look meaner than he actually is, or how do we balance this to achieve the effect we want to achieve with our dude here? Like, he still looks suspicious right now. He does not trust you. He sees you and he does not trust what you're about. The dryer's done. I love that you can hear every little thing about my environment. Like, you just hear everything that goes on. Okay, what if we bring the people down one? Okay, that works a little bit better. Meow, 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 meow. Also, let me check something too before we move forward. Because I don't think I set the thing correctly for YouTube. YouTube. Yeah, I'm not used to... It's a whole new thing, dude. Okay. Okay. Should probably also do this. Game dev. Yeah, I probably should have done this ahead of time. It's okay. Better late than never, right? Better late than never. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Okay. Simple thing, but actually turned out pretty good, I think. He's old. He's a Chad old man. He's the person I want to turn into. He's the man I want to become. One day. Or maybe not. We don't know what his character is. But if we go by appearance alone... Oh yeah. This man's killing it in a nursing home. I'm not sure how old he actually is, though. We'll see. Honestly, I kind of want to... I feel like I should have given him like a handkerchief or something. Yeah, I'll go over his clothing. That should be fine. Meow, 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 meow. And then he goes here, like so. Let's do a flip test. He still looks recognizable for the most part. And it's a matter of doing the rest now. Matter of doing the rest. And honestly, as I get more ideas about what this character is going to be and what he's going to do, I'll probably just modify his design little by little to better indicate specific things that come to mind or characteristics. Okay. I think we'll do this. Sweet. And I'm gonna make this a little bit more rounded. I think he kind of needs that. I think a little touch is gonna make a world of difference. Okay. Sweet. And then we'll just do some flats. I'm not going to color them now fully. I just wanted to do something today to get the art juices going. Get the art juices flowing. The flats never hurt nobody. And it's kind of interesting because he's in like in the his hat provides one shadow, and then we have to do another underneath the chin. So that's another thing to consider. And then we might even do a different color tone here, indicate maybe a little bit of stubble. Nah, I don't know. Maybe give him darker skin, actually. Yeah, that don't sound bad, actually. Hey, he looks like a guy I would know in Puerto Rico. That's pretty cool, actually. I know we're not supposed to be doing shading. I know I said that. But come on, man. Just a little bit of this. It never hurt nobody. A little bit of shading, it never hurt nobody. Dun, 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 dun. to play around with color a little bit more. Granted, the colors do not feel harmonious. They do not. They do not. They seem to fight each other quite a bit. So we have to think about this a little bit more critically later. But for now, it's a sketch. Pharma. Cool. Let's go back to here now. We have our dude. Saved. In fact, let's just save it in Messy Mansion. Concepts. Cool. Okay. So some concept environmental stuff. I know I did some here. Like this is an idea I was exploring. Let me think about things a little bit more topologically. In fact, I kind of feel like I need to do some Google Street View stuff. Not Florida. Here we go. To Saba. Let's do satellite view. See what we find. Agricultural center. Okay, here's something. There's a little something there. Maybe I'm overthinking this too. Maybe we just say there's a couple landmarks you want to put in this game. That's it. Send it. And then string things together. We don't have to make things make sense. It's a game. It's a game. And we can think high level about certain things. One thing I want to play around with is because right now a lot of levels just have a sea or a body of water underneath them, and that's it. I think only one actually has an idea of some kind of running water, but even then it doesn't quite make sense. So I think we gotta change that. I think we gotta change it. Also, I need to watch the Nintendo Direct at some point. I'm slacking. Oh well. Anywho. But yeah, just have something like that. Some running water. Like, we know the map's gonna have to conform to, if you want to make the most out of the surface area, it should conform to some kind of cube like this, or some kind of square. And then you can try making a running river that does that. Is there any map that shows the rivers running here? Okay, here we go. I think there should be a river, or not, probably a road. Yeah, it's a road. Oh, but there's a running body of water right there, I think. Yeah, like very swirly like this, because this is going to maximize surface area coverage, which is what, for the kind of mechanic we're doing, that's just the best to do. It might be kind of cool if we have like an inlet, like a place, like a beach or something here, where the water's coming in from, and then the water just kind of continues off from there. And then you can plan features around this idea. Let's look at images. Okay, sick. Gosh. Actually, it's cool. I didn't imagine a lot of man-made structures there, but yeah, that makes sense. In fact, that might be cool to explore. In fact, ooh, that's super cool. I like this image. Yeah. Oh, dude, the new map is gonna look so good. So good. Though right here, there's like it's kind of an aisle, right? Like it seems. Unless it's. I need to see this a bit better. Okay, that's a better picture. And then it converts into there. That's a better picture. Yes. So you can see where it goes from this very large body into, and it starts turning into a river. Yes. That's great. And in fact, this doesn't really have, it has some man-made structure, because I imagine that's not natural. But everything else seems largely untouched. So that's the case. Cool. We're coming back to this, and we design a level. This isn't too big of a far-off idea. In fact, we can get more specific about this map we're building here. In fact, let's blow it up, so that we can. We're not going to blow it all the way, because what's the plan is that we're going to define the geological structures first, the rivers, how it comes in, all that stuff. Then we're going to zoom in on specific sections, like here and here and here, and then we're going to draw a little picture to illustrate what exactly is going on there, and likely what is the critical path for the player. In fact, not even a critical path, because ideally with this game where you're cleaning up everything, ideally the player should be able to get to all corners of the map and make sure they're clean. So we can plan ways for them to get across. So many tabs. I know. I have a problem. Noodle. Also, good to see you here. You're the first commenter on YouTube. Oh my goodness. Yeah, a lot of tabs. I have a problem though. And in fact, it's not even that bad, because I usually have multiple. Today's a good day. Today's a very good day. This is very not bad at all. Okay. No, stop telling me installing you is a bad idea. I oblit. Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, I saw the you were the person who pointed out the bug on Blue Sky. You saw me. You saw through my smokes and mirrors. Oh man. Yeah, one day we're gonna do a stream, hopefully this week, fixing all that stuff. Actually, it's way worse than that too. Oh my goodness. When we get into it, it's gonna be ooh terrible. All right. So yeah, in fact, let me reiterate. May not reiterate. Let's even talk about the current state of Messy Mansion, because there's been significant changes which warranted this new level design. If it loads. Oh, my bad. Laundry. Well, while it loads, so we're gonna have this river that's gonna be cutting through the map, and we're gonna have, and the player's goal is to traverse through every single inch of the map, like literally, because that's how you clean things. So we have to plot two major things. We have to plot where there's gonna be points where the player can clean their mop, and they can't be too close to each other, because that may just be redundant. So you'll point this as like fountain areas. So fountain area here, maybe, and then here. We have to decide the entry point for the player. So if the whole goal is for the player to get to every single inch of the map, hey, loaded, beautiful. But yeah, if the goal is for the player to go through every single inch of the map, having it be somewhere near the center might be more prudent for us. Initially, this game was designed with the idea of it's a linear level. They have one path critically through them from start to finish, and that's it. But now we have an entirely different design modus operandi, where you want to have them, actually it's not even a list of different things, it's one fundamental thing. I want them to explore the level, and it's not only they're rewarded to do that, but it's also kind of a requirement, because if the whole level is dirty, you have to traverse every single part of it to clean it. And we also want to have this sense of discovery and exploration. So there's a mechanical reason why you're exploring this level, but then there's going to be either narrative or even just experiential reasons why they're going to be exploring it. On the experiential side, it's going to be having these landmarks and different areas that they haven't seen before that are pretty interesting. Whether it be this intake channel here, like we have described here, or it can be other things like, I don't know, different cool little landmarks for them to explore. And narrative reasons for exploration would be characters and NPCs scattered about, each with their own needs, reasons, maybe even character arcs, and ultimately the final boss as well. A bit like Mario 64, yeah, very much like Mario 64. In fact, it kind of follows that same hub idea, where you have this, one second, Miro, where you basically have this one singular hub level, and you're going to all these other places to clean stuff up. We went through so many different iterations in designing this. Ooh, and this is a waterfall I wanted to take some inspiration to from the environments. Yeah, me and my boy Theo, we just took 3 weeks, and we just hashed out a bunch of different designs, potentials. But yeah, it's very much like that, where they're almost like Rubik's Cubes that you're trying to solve. Like the level, that's not the way to say it. Each level is like their own project, and you can complete them to a varying level of degrees. Also, what's up, D. Jacob? Glad to see you here. Glad to see you here. Yeah, whereas before levels were tight, catered experiences. In fact, we have most of the levels are still following this pattern right now. And there's pros and cons to it. There's benefits to that, because when you have linear levels, then you know what the player is going to be doing for the most part. You can design things specifically. And as far as design mechanics are concerned, it's easier to introduce new mechanics because you're assuming the players are going through one specific path through a level within a specific sequence of levels. Whereas with our new design, where levels are far less linear and in fact are more open and are designed around catering towards or rewarding exploration, we don't have that same affordance. But yeah, it's a very big shift in terms of design. The only thing that's going to be similar is this level here, but even the way you go about selecting levels are going to be different. I want to go fully diegetic with this, where you're actually going into, I mean, the game's called Messy Mansion. This is kind of like some metaphysical mansion where each door takes you to this new place. Instead of a job listing board, I'd rather have it be actual doors within this mansion that you're going into and takes you to a different place. Very much Mario 64 the more I describe it. But yeah, like everything here, I think at most we had branching paths. So there's like a path you can take up there to get across the level. Yep. We have some bugs here we need to fix. It's amazing. The more this game has matured, the more buggy I've gotten it. The falling platforms. But yeah, levels typically followed a very linear process here. Yeah. What if instead of doors, the character jumps through paintings? Oh my god, revolutionary! I've never thought of that. And you know what if instead of cleaning up the level, also I love how you're cleaning up invisible dirt blocks here. What if instead of trying to clean up the level, instead you're trying to collect stars, dude? That'd be so crazy. That would be so insane. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, it's actually, I haven't played these levels after we introduced this new Sunshine-esque dirt, chaos dust mechanic stuff. Let's check out this one. We have not touched the winter levels in forever, and I'm curious how they look in tandem with this. Yeah, initially this is more catered towards speedrunning, and it would have worked fine, honestly. Like, we could have stick with this idea of just making this game mechanically be designed around speedrunning and doing all that. But like, in my heart of cards, I think I'd rather make a game that's more open-ended. And of course, as far as the narrative is concerned and the themes you want to explore within this game, having a design that's more open works better for for communicating what we want to communicate. Oh, I haven't been here in such a long time, dude. It's kind of crazy. Beep. In a way, I kind of find it weird how centered the main character is with the camera. We should probably playtest that, because it's very one-to-one. In fact, I should probably play some more 3D platformers. Oh, new design, dude. Yep. Yeah, I think at some point I played around with having a lerped camera, and I was running into this weird issue. But that's more of a skill issue thing. That's like an implementation bad issue. Oh yeah, and we're playing with implementing that shader. Yeah. Oh, we also have to do the thing where the projectiles dirty the ground when the enemy fires at you and hits the floor. That's gonna be a whole thing. Yeah, so much to do. So much to do. Oh my goodness. But yeah, you got stuff to explore here. I have to clean a percentage of the level or just get to the end of the level. That's something I'm still debating. I feel like it should be... As far as mechanical coherency, I feel like it would be percentage of level. On the other hand, for narrative reasons, I kind of want it to be tied instead to certain boss battles. But if it's tied to that, well, here's the thing, right? There's multiple endings. So you can technically beat the game by just beating bosses. That was the idea. But if you left the levels uncleaned, and if you left enemies, like all the other side enemies beaten, like if you just go for the main boss instead of dealing with the NPCs, then you end up getting the worst ending, as well as the game is going to treat you differently. Because if you're just going straight for the boss and ignoring cleaning in general, there's mechanisms that would be in play that would make it not, how should I say it? I love seeing that thing wobble over there. There's things that would also make it not, you'd lose out on stuff. Like it'd be a quick playthrough, but it would suck for you as a player. Or maybe it'll be different. That's all I can say without saying too much of what's on my mind. Not because I'm trying not to spoil you, though that might be part of it, but epic Mickey moment. Oh my, I should put, one second. I still have the Game Informer magazine for Epic Mickey. I should actually give that a play. I should give that a try. Rip Game Informer. I only bring this up because I remember last stream, or the stream before, I talked about we should have a stream where we just go through Game Informer magazines and pretend we're back in 2012 or something. I should play that though. I need to expand my repertoire because honestly, I'm developing a game that I have not played much of the body of work in the genre that I'm developing for. So it would be beneficial to actually get familiarized with the genre we're making, right? It's kind of important. It's like you should probably play other first-person shooters if you're making a first-person shooter, right? Of the Blob 2, but still a little different. You know what? Oh, wait, one second. Well, so what consoles did they come out on? The Blob. Oh, I remember this guy. Gameplay. No commentary. And card album for new Super Mario Bros. Wii. Oh my goodness. I didn't know we're dealing with the 1%. High aristocracy. With that fine art. Is this... Wait, intro no commentary. I want to see gameplay. Okay. Alright, so I see a level. There's some stuff that's dirty on there. Oh, is he the one dirtying stuff? Okay. Oh, he changed colors. What significance does that have? When you touch stuff and you change the colors there. Actually, what? First of all, what consoles did they come out on? I wonder if if I can play it or if I need to get an emulator. Epic Mickey console. Platforms. Okay, there's quite a few. Up to PlayStation 5. Okay, so I can play it on a modern. Can I play it on Switch? Or can I play it on Steam? That's a real question. Not Epic Monkey, Epic Mickey. Yeah. Rebrushed. For the low price of $59.99. Okay. Okay. Let me add this before I forget. Maybe I should stream this one day. Add to wish list. Yeah, that's how I'm not gonna forget about it. And then Epic Blob. Epic Blob is kind of interesting. It reminds me of it very much has that Frutiger Metro aesthetic that has long been, or maybe not long. I don't know. I have not seen anything do a Frutiger Metro aesthetic in a fat minute. Like, I think the thing that comes to recent memory is Just Dance. Instead, he revives the world by giving colors. Ah, okay. In order to complete the level, you have to color the level basically. By doing that, you revive even NPCs. Okay, way lower than $90 on Switch 2 game. Ooh, yeah. I have not watched the Nintendo Direct yet. There's 2 Nintendo Directs. There is one for games and then one for the Switch 2, right? Though, to be honest, if we're gonna have a real conversation here, kind of a hot take time, but I feel like games should be a little bit more expensive. They've been $60 for a long time. I think games should be, it's a little bit more expensive. If we're adjusting for inflation and other things. So I shouldn't complain too much. But, geez, that's kind of crazy, though. $90 Switch games. Won't spoil, but yeah. Okay, sweet. Do I... No, they're kind of long, though. I know there's some cozy games that are dropping for the Switch, too. That I should keep my eyes out. We'll see. Anywho, but you get the idea. In fact, it would behoove me to actually make this explicit. Level, clean, percentage is tied to not even just ending, right? Because games have different endings, but 99% of the journey to that ending is identically the same for the most part. So it's not just, but our game's not going to be like that. At least I hope it doesn't be like that. It's not that only that your end is going to be different, but the way you play the game is going to change, or your experience in playing the game is going to change. So there's like a effects routing, I guess we could say, or affects route. You just say route. Oh my goodness, please go. Whereas boss battling. Oh, and there's the other thing too, where you don't have to necessarily beat a boss. It's gonna sound so convoluted, right? But technically your mop, we haven't implemented this. I need to playtest it to validate if this is gonna be fun. Because, making games fun is kind of important, right? So a fun game is more important than, at least for me, is more important than a, maybe not fun game necessarily. Oh, fun. But, yeah, that factor is kind of outweighs thematic coherency. But there's the idea of your mop having a certain saturation of dirt. Like in real life, like if you clean and you never rinse your mop off, you just end up starting to spread the dirt around. So likewise, these bosses are in this corrupted state where they're very consumed by the miasma or the chaos dust or whatever. And if you're not cleaning your mop, you're just adding more dirt onto them. So you can actually beat a boss by just throwing more dirt onto them. It's just that instead of becoming clean, they actually progress into, like, let's say a final state of dirtiness where they turn into stone and rock. Which, again, is not great. Does not contribute to a good route at all. But yeah, boss battles dictate story progression. And story progression can be reflected in terms of levels. I'm thinking. Yeah. That's what dictates progression is the levels themselves. So there might be whole levels locked, but until you beat the boss, you can't get the next level. That is a bit funky, but yeah, that's currently the design I have in my mind. Anywho, but going back to actual level design here, yeah, very different. Very, very different approach to this. And we're going to see if this works out well with this first level that we're making that's going to be non-linear. And I think we talked about already some of the features you wanted, such as an intake. And in fact, let's make this a little bit more concrete, or maybe not concrete, but make it so we can have the inspiration here. Yoink! We could put it in here, so that as we sketch certain environments, we have this to reference. Very ergonomic. Very, very demure. And then this as well. Some more inspiration for designing the environment. And even though I said the whole thing is going to be dirty, it's not necessarily going to be that. We have the tools to make certain areas unclean or clean by default, so that we don't have to deal with that whole issue of, hey, the player, there's areas that the player can't reach that need to be cleaned. Or the other weird thing of, oh, there's invisible areas that the player can clean. And they're going to be cleaning stuff, but it doesn't feel clear that that's what they're doing, because you don't see it visually represented anywhere. Are you working solo or with a small team? Largely solo. At most, yeah, like, as far as the foundations of the game, all me. So, like, art, programming, music, that's all me, and design. I have a friend named Theo who's helping me out. He's like a design consultant. So, because designing by yourself, you kind of go, it's very hard to validate what ideas have weight and which don't, and which ideas kind of go against other things. So my friend Theo, I usually meet with him like kind of on a weekly basis or every other week, and we usually go through A, tasks, and then B, design stuff I'm kind of wrestling with the game. And then beyond that, I do sometimes contract some individual things out. So I've got, like, very early in the game, like 6 months ago or something, I contracted my friend Shai to do some concept art. And that was helpful initially then. Or it was helpful then. And I think if I get to more, if I start having to have more enemies or maybe more things, I might do that again. But, I mean, so far, like, I don't know. I enjoy every part of making the game, so usually I kind of go to contracting when there's a time crunch, but I'm not placing myself under any kind of time crunch with this. So we'll see. Who knows though, because I know for a fact some limitations I have is writing, very little experience writing, so we're going to see how that turns out. And I may just reach out to someone for some help on that. And level design. Not too much experience. We'll see how I turn out on that in that regard. And it's just a matter of seeing, does Marco get good at these disciplines, or does Marco outsource it? We're gonna find out, aren't we? Yeah, that's kind of how things break down, though. So I think we'll make our starting point here and have a fountain around here. Around here. Now here's... nah, I think it's reasonable. Yeah, I'm not going to be worrying about making this ecologically consistent. I think instead of making sure that it's just interesting is more important. We could just do that, and allow the topography people get mad at me about maybe not even topography, because I think this might be in the wheelhouse of, what was it? Not necessarily geology. I should research this. But yeah, we can let people comment about how incorrect or I don't know how bad of an idea it is to place a farm that close within a shoe or within this bend of a river. That's okay. Maybe the NPCs didn't know better either. Maybe they are equally as ill-informed as me. About the formations of all these different things. It's kind of funny how the advent of social media has changed or warped how we think about things. Because I find myself having, not very often, but on occasion, invisible conversations with purely hypothetical people. And that's something that just came about purely because of social media. Maybe not purely. I think that's something that emerges naturally from a society, but I think social media has definitely inflamed that. Writing is very hard. I'm also developing a fan game. Oh, interesting. I had a question for what franchise, if you don't mind me asking. But yeah, no, writing is very difficult. I found, we had to take. I took a 3-week or a month break from working on this game. When I decided that we're gonna have an actual narrative here and not just something vague, and that we want to design mechanics to explore a specific idea or theme, all of a sudden there's this onus to better understand what this craft of writing is. Because not to say there's games that are serious games that, not to say that there's no serious games that achieve what we're trying to do, but since writing is going to be a significant part of it, it did not hurt taking a couple weeks to just not touch any game making at all and instead just read and consume books and other media as well, like movies and whatnot, to start getting a feel for how do people go about this craft, what are the conventions here, what are the tools a writer has. Definitely listen to some lectures about writing from Brian Sanderson, I think. Wheel of Time dude. I haven't read it, but I just know it. Franchise as well, Mario. Even though I'm mainly an assistant and bug hunter, watching 20 people work together is very hard. Yeah, 20 is, and honestly, 20 is kind of a large team. Mario and Luigi RPG to be exact. Ooh, that's sick. I've been actually meaning to watch playthrough of that. I know I was watching Chugger Conroy's playthrough of what was it? Thousand Doors? I forgot what it was. That's some Paper Mario game. And I've been tempted to play Mario RPG OG, the original one. But I've heard good things about the Mario and Luigi one. And that's something I've kind of slept on. Currently we have really good musicians and we did release already a bunch of soundtracks, but we still need to design levels, art style, attacks, and write the story itself. Oof, yeah, that's quite a lot. It's a tall task, but that's super exciting. If you have any link, feel free to share it. I'd love to check it out. If there's anything like that exists right now. If not, if it does, or when it does, feel free to post it. I'd love to check out this stuff. And actually, I kind of feel like I've neglected, or I've stumbled upon, this whole world of ROM hacking recently that I didn't know exist. But it's kind of very interesting, design-wise. It's kind of ROM hacks are kind of interesting in general because you take something that already exists and transform it in ways that even the IP holders don't, and you can get very novel, interesting, or unique things from that process. Like there's a recent ROM hack I played where the whole premise is that you're actually playing as Team Rocket. Like you're playing from the bad guy's perspective. And instead of beating Pokemon, you don't go and catch them. Instead, you have to steal it from people. And all of a sudden, it turned really real. Where like the first battle, you have to steal the Pokemon from this little girl. And I was like, oh my goodness. This is Pokemon, but I've never had to engage with this moral quandary before. I never knew a Pokemon game could make me feel so grimy. It's a whole new experience that I would never have in a Game Freak release. It's incredible. Mario 64 ROM hacks are also new whole games. Yeah, dude. I still need to beat Mario 64. I have it on Switch, but it my niece kind of broke my controller, so I still have to go out and buy a new Joy-Con. But yeah, it's kind of insane. The things that exist already. And that's not even to go into things like demakes too. Like someone recreated Portal in for the N64. Like it runs on the N64, not just an emulator, but also in OG hardware if you put it on there. And it plays exactly as Portal, except if it were on an N64. And it's kind of insane seeing that, oh, this could have existed. This could have been a thing. Okay, so this is going to be more Shoreline stuff. So it's actually, I think it might be easier just to blot out the land here, as opposed to trying to draw it with the negatives of the... And this can be a place where the player goes. But yeah, no, managing a team of that's like 20 people is surprisingly a lot. Like people don't realize that, but there's this interesting book about project management, specifically for tech, called The Mythical Man Month. And it outlines just how crazy the cost of communication grows per new hire, per employee, and how the benefit per contributor, let's say, diminishes far quicker than you realize. Not to say that it's bad or you should never have that many people, but that there's a very real cost you have to wrestle with and try to mitigate it all possible. If at all possible. Our musician was supposed to make Pokemon Unite music, by the way. Oh, really? Wait, Pokemon... What exactly is Pokemon Unite? I'm not too familiar with Pokemon in general. Was that another fan game? Was it an actual release game? And then that'll be the boundaries of what is allowed here. Okay, cool. Okay, so we have this interesting Isles thing. And also, I should probably superimpose this in the game so we can see just how much space we're working with here. And we've turned off the fog, we would have a better idea. Where is the fog? Real-time lighting. So how well would this map actually work? Let's see here. I think actually this could work well. Like, we're using space very inefficiently. So, just for you to know, this red, there's a red box indicates the texture size of the dirt mat, the thing that makes everything dirty. Anything bigger than this, and you're not gonna. You can think about it conceptually as it's not going to be marked as dirty. In reality, it wraps and it becomes very messy and weird. We're not going to worry about that. So this indicates the limits of the level we're designing. So, with that in mind, I think this is actually far more doable within this space. I think this is going to work pretty well. Yeah, I think we have enough space within this bounds to create this environment. Very cool. So we have this place that's going to be more nature. Here I would like to have like a farm area. And then over here we can have it be more transition to a city type thing. And of course we have to indicate bridges because the player is not going to be able to jump across normally. And we could do the whole abstract random just objects that appear and just float magically. I would prefer to use actual real infrastructure for defining these places where the player can go around, because it dictates how much the player has to travel as well. So if we put, for example, a bridge over here, let's say, for example, let's say there's a bridge here. Then even if the player's here and they're trying to get to over here, we force them to have to travel all around. That may suck, but we can include things like a power-up or whatnot, where they can, I don't know, get a second jump and go across. And all of a sudden, hey, this new element we've given the player solves a real problem they had to deal with. This cost of paying to go around and traverse this area. Is the water clean though? Yes, the water is going to be... The water is clean, but it's still an instant death, which is kind of odd. But it's what we're going to do. Yeah. I'm not sure how it would look like to do swimming, sprite-based swimming for the player. I guess like it would be cool to do that, but that opens up a bunch of doors of things I would need to implement. And despite the feature set we have, I still kind of want this game to be somewhat compact in size. Like, I think we're gonna only have like 3 maps at most. Like, as far as a play experience is, I'd rather stick with a small scope, but the elements within that scope are pretty deep, as opposed to a game that has a large breadth, but it's kind of shallow. But that would be the thing that adds a depth, because then we have a whole new set of mechanics to explore if we do underwater stuff. And then it ties with the idea of cleaning, which is cool. And what would we need to make that feasible? Like, there's decisions you have to make. First of all, is drowning a thing? Can you drown? And then that's going to split into 2 different things. If yes, then we have to implement this drowning mechanic meter. And potentially things that affect it, right? Like, do you want to make it where, I don't know, a player can get like a scuba mechanic? I don't know. Oh, man. Yeah, you have to implement it. If no, then there's an Otis on the design, or there's an Otis no matter what. But there's a more strict Otis for the designer, where the player has to be able to get out of there. There has to be an escape. There's a new design constraint on levels. Escape level constraint. Because if they can't drown, at least when you drown, you get to reset the player back to where they need to be, right? But if they cannot drown and you don't afford them escape from the underwater area they're going to be in, then you've effectively soft locked a player in there, and you're forcing them to reboot the game to either exit the level or reboot the game, depending on... I think you could just go back, but that's a dumb price to pay for this. Is the water still or like a river? It's going to be like a river. Yeah, this water is going to be a river, which, by the way, I just realized I have to revise my shaders, because the shaders we're using here all assume one critical thing, which is the fact that the water is moving uniformly around. See, like they're all moving in one direction, and we can change direction in the shader properties, like so. Where's the vector? Scroll vector. Like we add this component to it, and now it starts moving at an angle. But they're all uniform in their direction. However, with this river, that's not going to be the thing. That's interesting. So it's an interesting design problem, or implementation programming problem. Because now we have to have different vectors. So what do? We can make a texture, a world space texture, have each field represent a vector, so we can have a vector field. Yeah, we can have a vector field of some sort. How we calculate that is going to be interesting. But yeah, a vector field, and then we can change the scroll vector here to match the one currently sampled from that larger texture. Okay, there's an idea in mind. Okay, so that's not an excuse. We have a way we can solve this. Need to redo water for that. Yeah, for this we're gonna have to revise the shader for waters. But I mean, screw it. Like, it's cool. Like we could just have water going in one direction like this always in one map, and just say, you know what, the player can just, their immersion can suck it. But I actually like coding. And this is an interesting problem to explore, so why not explore it? So we have this one thing that's guiding the map so far, which is this lake, but we can have other things that are informed by it and can carve out different terrain features. So one idea can be roads as well, and in fact these fountains are also kind of checkpoints as well. That's important to note. I should keep them somewhat evenly dispersed so that the player's always able to find one near them to do what they gotta do. But yeah, there's other geological features I like to explore. And in fact, over here, I want to explore more interesting infrastructure things, because we can have things that are built on top of this. So for example, actually these bridges are a great example of this. So, like, just so you can see what I have in mind, because this seems very simple and like that's just lines. So let's actually pull up an example of something that I have in mind that can be used for that, or you can see what this would look like in game potentially. So let me go into my Instagram, because that's the place I go to. That's the place where I get a lot of image inspiration. And let me see if I can find. Perfect. No, go back here. So this, for example, having like a bridge can manifest as something like this, where you have water in a low area, and this can even have its own pathway, but then you have this other pathway that's going counter to it, where you can even have some infrastructure like roads, for example, that may have been abandoned or whatever, going across and lead another path. In fact, we do stuff like this. And all of a sudden, now we have these two layers of environmental things for the player to interact with. There's like this natural layer where there's things that are, there's paths that are afforded to you just based off of the terrain, the geology of the area. Then there's other paths that are afforded to you based off of the infrastructure the previous people who inhabited this place created. And I think that's really cool. You kind of tell multiple stories here. A story from a geological perspective, and then a story from the infrastructure created from people. And you can see how it informs and progresses and changes. And change the elevation of the level like that. Yeah, at one point the river could also make a waterfall maybe. Oh yeah, that'd be, honestly, that probably happened. Well, actually, that's not gonna really, because we're doing an intake in like here. But we can have elevation, so we can have like a place where it elevates up here, and then there could be a waterfall down here as it cascades down. Or maybe this whole area, in fact, let's use a different color, could be at a lower elevation, weirdly enough. So we can have this entire region, let's cut the map in half, be at a lower elevation, so that this waterfall makes sense because it's working with gravity. Even though there's an intake at a higher level, this is happening due to a depression in the ground. Who knows? Maybe there used to be a volcano here, and then the mantle moved a little bit, or the bottom crust moved, and where there once was pressure from the magma, now there's the depression and the remains of a volcano. But yeah, that creates areas of intrigue. And then this area can be like different levels, sheets of water just coming down. And this can be fun because as a designer now or programmer, we can do some cooler water shaders effects for different places where water is falling down. And all of a sudden, like, this place feels way more alive. And it's kind of the beauty when you start like defining the geology of the map you're developing. Because when you start looking at natural formations, you start getting things like this. In a lower area like this. Yep, like this to yep. Yep, exactly. And then again, like with this whole with that video, no, not the wrong one. Excuse me. Pardon moi. But yeah, we can be afforded a lot of interesting things. Because now the roads in lower elevations, if the ground doesn't match up to it, then everything up here in this higher place is going to have to be man-made. It's beautiful how that works. And then we're going to have different considerations. Like, this is a very natural area, but the next level is going to be in a very urban area. Doesn't mean that you can't have interesting features like that. You see them all the time. They're going to be very different. The relationship between nature and urbanized city areas is very different. And it opens up different doors. And in those places, you might want to explore, like in that case, as a designer, you'd probably want to look into, okay, what are some interesting features of cities? What are some specific things about civil engineering over there that we may not consider? Like, for example, cities oftentimes, especially like Chicago, for example, has large, like, layers of underground tunnels with different histories behind them. Some of them were connections between different buildings. Some of them were used for utility and transport back in the 1950s. Some of them are just used for sewage and water disposal, but then have been since abandoned. So now there's these tunnels that are large and big and available, but they're not being used for anything. So that's something to explore. And then there's an even lower one where it's way larger and it's just meant for pumping out water. Okay, cool. So by looking and learning about the civil engineering of that specific area, you have this new set of pieces to play around with when designing your level. So maybe this level's whole thing is expanse. It's a wide area where you're exploring stuff, whereas the urban level can be much more focused on the verticality, where you have depth and density because of all the different... Oh my goodness. Can I ban... Do I have the thing with me now? I hate those dudes. It's annoying. But yeah, you have different tools afforded to you, which is very cool and very powerful, and ends up shaping very unique experiences. Not to say you need to do this stuff. It's kind of like the idea of music theory. Like, you can design a level without any knowledge of these things, and it's fine. You can have something that's good and people enjoy and whatnot. But if you take into account these other factors, you're afforded a whole new palette to work with. They're not prescriptive, they're descriptive, if that makes any sense. Yeah, these ideas are cool though. Let me actually start sketching out what some of these places are going to look like. Or even indicating paths to, or choosing specific points of intrigue or interest for the player. I know I set the spawn point here because I want it to be more in the middle. And it's kind of nice because you can start the player off in a linear fashion where initially they can't cross this river. So they're kind of forced to go here. And because they're forced in that linear fashion, I can at least design kind of a tutorial for them within this space to introduce them to the basics of running, jumping, dashing, what have you. And then at this point over here, we afford them more options. They can choose to take this bridge and explore the city-ish area, less rural area. They can choose to explore this corner of the map and see what's there. They can choose to go down here and try to go to this. There's a lot of options they're given, which is perfect. It's exactly what we want to do experientially. Give them the bare bones to operate in this world, and then bam, at this point, they're afforded freedom to explore. And in fact, yeah. Yeah, I think that works for the best. So actually, you know what? We will keep this spawn location here. I think that actually works for us. Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. Okay, cool. So let's start numbering these things so we can have an idea. So we have an idea of bridge 1. We have an idea for bridge 2, even though it's not emphasized, and then an idea for bridge 3. We also have to answer this question. How do we keep the player from going beyond the bounds here? Because these bounds are not meant for the player to go through. Over here, this is simple. The bounds is enforced by the water. Over here. But what about the places that are on land? So we can even make this all water to make life simpler for ourselves. Just pure water on this corner. Perfect. But what about the areas that are not landlocked. I guess landlocked. The edges of the square that are landlocked. What do? We have a couple options. We can make the Great Wall, where there's a big wall that crosses here that they just cannot get over. And that's just it. That's all we write. That's all she wrote. Big wall, big imposing wall, That's it. Meow. Big wall. That's fine. It feels very enclosing though. And I think if we want to get them to feel like exploring, we should, I don't know. I'm not too on board with that idea. Also, let's actually prototype this. Let's see how this is going to look and feel for the player. Like, how far away is this? So what we're going to do is we're going to take all this whole map. We're going to save it as a PNG, and then we're going to put it in the game as a quad, and we're going to have the player just walk over it. No level design, no nothing like that. Just literally have them walk this and see what we glean from that. So level 1 prototype. Okay, let's go back into engine. This is such a cool thing to do. I'm saying like I'm talking like as if I've done this before. I have never done this, but it just came to me, and I think this is actually a great, sick idea. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna yoink, make a new quad. Yup. Where's the quad? Let's orient you properly. It's either gonna be the most 5 head of ideas ever, or a big wash. But I'm optimistic. I think it's gonna be super 5 head. Okay. Are you big enough? Perfect. And then we're gonna make this the size of, which is what, 512 I believe, or 256? No, 512. Oh, that's a rotation. My bad. No, the scale is going to be 512 by 512, and your position is going to be, I mean, no, the Y is fine. We have to offset it by 256 and 256. Perfect. And now we're going to take that little PNG we made, drag and drop it on there. Level 1 prototype. Perfect. And then we're going to take the player and move them into the desired starting point that we outlined. And we're going to see how big this level feels by navigating it as the player. Oh my goodness, dude. This actually feels humongous. Which is perfect, because then cleaning it is actually a big task. Or maybe it's not as big as we think. But we're gonna find out now. Let's try it. Oh, 1 second. I forgot we need to give this the ground tag. Ground. Enemy ground, yeah, there we go. Okay guys, this is gonna be either really cool or really lame. Okay, so cool, we have this, we have our, and then we have the river here that we can't cross over. Can we cross over it? With a double jump and a dash we can. So okay, cool, we should probably make this bigger. Okay. Perfect size, not gonna lie. Yeah, this actually kind of fits like a glove, dude. Like it's large enough where we can, where it's, you can't clean it just in a 5 minutes, but it's not too overwhelming where you can't do stuff. Like you can probably do a couple sessions and then get this place cleared up. And we get to the road, and we can choose if we want to go here. So that's like enough space to do a tutorial easy. And we can take this, then we get into the city area, and then down below is gonna be like a underground or a lower level path we can take. So we can probably jump off here and then. This is so sick. This is so sick. Like even just playing in the realm of imagination, this makes it feel so much more real. And then we want to go back. Even with the dashing. And if we add enemies to the mix, oh my goodness, this is gonna be a thing. Okay, we get to bridge 2, we cross it. Cool. We have to probably make this like hilly stuff. I don't know, we'll see. And then bridge 3 is obscured by this. That's okay, we can just hop across it. And then we get to over here, and then this is just the horizon. So we're gonna just have water going all across here. That works awesome. Awesomely. In fact, we can make this a little beach so there can be a low level here. Like we have an elevation here, and then it comes down to a beach over here. And then we have the intake for our little river, which seems pretty... I might even want to make this a little bit bigger, but it seems reasonable, I think. Yeah, I think if we make this open, yeah, it seems pretty reasonable. So there's stuff here, and then... Oh, beautiful. We have places we can... oh, this is getting the imagination going already. Okay, so this is actually a good size. I think we scaled this pretty well. You can kind of paint your objects and models on top of the blueprints like this. Yeah. This actually works pretty freaking well. Like, honestly, you could actually... Oh my... Okay, this is the next level. This is the next level. So we can take this, keep it as is, and then we can make... let me grab this and the player as well before I forget. And you can use Unity's terrain tools. I wasn't gonna use them. I normally don't. This might be the one application where having terrain makes sense. At least for ideation, like figuring out what this thing is going to be. This actually works very suitably. So you have this terrain. We have new terrain, enable tree colliders. Okay. Let's modify, make the settings. This is too big. Terrain width is gonna be 512 by 512. Perfect. And we can paint. This is gonna be so cool. So watch this. We're gonna... Oh, dude. Making games are so sick, dude. Making video games is so cool when you can do stuff like this. And then we can just draw the elevation here. We can just draw what the topography of this level is gonna look like and play it. Oh my goodness, making games is so sick. All right, brush eyes, here we go. And then I have my drawing tablet pen. And then how is this gonna look like? Let's see here. Let's make this big. What is it? This is for decals. I want terrain. Here we go. And make this bigger because we're just outlining the features of this. That's for paint. No, I want elevation. Yeah, set height. Let's see here. Do I see it popping through yet? No, I don't. Why is this? Brush size, opacity. Let's make it bigger. Oh, this is stamping the height. No. Paint texture, paint holes, smooth height. I know I haven't done this in a while, but it shouldn't be this crazy. This is for trees. This is for painting the texture on the terrain. Yeah, this should be it. Raise or lower terrain. That's what I'm talking about. There we go. There we go. Okay. There we go. Oh my goodness. It's actually happening. It's actually happening. You're doing that. What I thought. Oh, you thought about that too? Add the elevation to image to you. Yeah. The bigger brain thing would be actually making a texture that projects this image onto it, so we can still see the texture on it. But I don't want to write a shader for that real quick. Or maybe I do. Maybe it'll be helpful to have that as just a general level design tool. Dude, maybe can we set custom? Yep. Terrain standard. All right, 1 second. We're gonna speedrun a shader real quick. It's gonna be super duper quick. New shader. Unlit shader. Yeah, we're not do any lighting. Or maybe standard surface shader. That's fine. Or maybe we don't want to do that. That's a toughie. Yeah, we want it to be lit because then it'll be hard to detect. It'd be hard to tell what part is where. Yeah, we're gonna make the shader. It's gonna be quick. Ryder, please open up for me. My lovely text editor, the apple of my eye. The IDE that's basically funded my lifestyle. When I'm saying lifestyle, just my life. Okay, this is gonna be very simple, especially since we've written our own utilities for shaders. Super simple, if I remember how to do it. It's a big if. How many instances did I open up? Okay, thank goodness, only one. I think. Let's close them down. Where's Unity? Let's open up this guy again. There we go. And let's open up Smart Tiler. Try texture so I can reference it. Yep, here's a vert pass. Yep. I'm not going to do any of that stuff, but not going to need a majority of it, but it's good to have. And then triplanar utilities. We have to import this guy. That's simple. Super simple. There we go. In fact, I should probably put it underneath the pragmas. That makes sense to me. Beautiful. And then next thing's next. We don't need these blend coefficients. We don't need any of this stuff. Transform world space, warped chords. This is gonna be hard coded, so I don't think I even need this. Transform world position. No, we're not doing this either. So cool. Life becomes easier and better. Yeah, I think this value is gonna be 512, if I'm not mistaken. Cool. Blend coefficients, don't need them. We're not doing any blending. Because we're just using what? We're using X and Z. So we're just gonna be using this guy, I believe. Yes. Oh my goodness, life is so easy breezy. Cover girl. Okay, and then we need this input struct. Super simple, nothing crazy. Lemon squeezy. Oh, we already have the struct here, I forgot. But we packed them differently. Oh yeah. And then we don't need a face ID because we're not doing a triplanar texture thing. We're not doing blend coefficients either. We just need our world UV and the corrected UV and then the main texture. UV. No, we don't even need this. We don't even need that. We literally just need that. Perfect. Cool. Gosh, it's just super simple. We're just projecting the image down, and then in the fragment shader, we have to just use, I forgot, where is the corrected UV that we use here? There we go. We swizzle it with the ZW components because we packed the struct. That's a whole thing we had to do for our specific targets, but it's okay. It worked out. And then we're not coloring this either, so we don't need this property. So, my goodness, this should just work. And let's call this shader custom map projection. And then we should be able to go here. Let's rename the shader too to just be map projection shader. And then make a new material. Yada, yada, yada. Hopefully this works in one. I'm gonna feel like such a pro if we do it in one shot. Map projection. And then custom map projection shader. You already know what I wanted. And then this guy right here. And now we select our map. Our terrain, my bad. There's a terrain. Drag and drop our map projection shader onto here. Okay, so it seems almost like it's working, but it's not quite. Let's test this out a little bit. Looks very metallic. Looks really, really metallic. I think I might have to just flip one of the axes. I think I have the axes wrong. That's easy. That's an easy fix. Okay, what's going on here? I need a clue as to what's going on. I should have come across some color, and yet we haven't yet. They're all just gray colored. Oh no! I set the material. I set the texture. This feels like 80s CGI materials. Yeah, the color's not working. I'm not sure why that is. Oh, I think different color there? These are all the same colors. Okay, maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was. Because we were coming across a mission critical bug. Okay. Let's take a look. I feel like we're close though. Make this smooth so we can better see the base albedo color. We don't need half of these properties, so we can get rid of them. Oh, you know what? I think I know what might be happening. Oh, wrong. Oopsie. I was manipulating the wrong texture, the wrong shader. Project map projection. Yeah, whoopsie. Easy fix though. Yeah, I think the issue is this number 512. Okay. Let's see here. It's upside down or the texture's offset. Yeah, if it was flipped, I feel like I would have seen some color by now. So I'm because we still haven't seen any color whatsoever. I'm willing to guess that's probably a scaling issue that's happening here. Willing to bet that. In fact, let's just make this easier. I don't know. Scale factor. Goodness, I can't type. And then make a private field. Make it a float. Make it, yeah. And then you make this use scale factor instead. And now we can do this fun thing of just resizing this material and see if we get a number something that looks right. Okay, we're making this bigger and bigger and it's not doing anything. No changes in color, and there should be some blue. There's no way I've drew perfectly, so perfect that there's no blue whatsoever. That's not a case. Okay. I guess we have to look at the code. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we have to read. I know, very scary. Let's see, we used UV coordinate, world UV as X and Y, and then wrapped chords Z and X, and then we're wrapping the chords where? Divided by scale factor. But this should be 1-to-1. So let's make sure. From natural terrain instead. Nah, screw you, dog. Oh, is there really terrain compatible true tag in your shader's property block? Do I really need to do? Is that the issue here? I'm gonna be kind of happy if that's just what it is. Terrain compatible. Well, that didn't solve it, but at least the error went away. So I'm guessing that worked correctly. So if it's not that, and this is the correct material property, yep. Updates in real time as expected, yep. I wonder, let's do the thing, let's move the terrain a little bit. Maybe it's an offset issue. Theoretically at some, wait 1 second, let me make sure I'm also setting the color too, and not just assuming the color is getting set. Texture 2D, main texture, so we sampled it here. Albedo C, yeah, RGB. And the alpha is, well, this, we can just assume it's 1. Okay. Let me look at something else. How did I do the miasma texture sampling? How do we do it there? Where we composited. Okay, 1 second. Let me go on my Git bash. I know I said it was gonna be a second. I said it was gonna be a second, and now it's turning to a couple seconds. Did we reset the smart texture in any form or way, shape? Hopefully not. I don't see it here. So I'm willing to believe that we didn't, which is good. I don't know why it's showing us changed here then, but we're gonna take your word that, no, it's showing significant changes here. And I can't undo it. And my Git is not saying, okay, we're just not gonna think about it. We're just gonna pretend there's no issues here. Life is good. Smart Tiler. Let's go back to the Smart Tiler, the simple Smart Tiler, and see how we do things here. Okay, triplanar. Yes, sir. fact, we don't even have to do that stuff here because, in all honesty, how does this work? Yeah. World position divided by the scale factor, which should be 512 because that's the dimensions we're working in, would be what's needed to convert it into UV space. Like, we don't have to do anything complicated here. We can keep it super dumb simple. So this should actually be correct because we're working in meters. Okay, let's actually make sure we're not crazy either. So let's duplicate this object and slap this material on it and make sure there's not some weird material issue at fault. So we're gonna grab this projection material and slap it on there. Nope, so we can't blame the terrain thing. It's clearly something happening here. We're the ones at fault here. We did the bad. Skill issue. Correct. Okay. Yeah, we don't even need. Well, first of all, this is for debugging purposes. We're not going to use it in game. So I'm actually just call this UV to make this easy to look at. It's going to be a float 2, even though that doesn't really matter. And it's going to be as simple as just doing UV equals wrapped chords X and Z, and then using in.uv. And then the last thing we need to check is, are we doing our multiplication correct to convert it from object space to world space? Unity object to world, v texture. Yeah, we do that here. Unity object to world, v.vertex. Yeah. So this calculation is redundant. Don't need to do that. Don't need this. And then, what about this? Okay, I'm not gonna lie, guys. This is the moment where we feel like we're going crazy. It feels like we're going crazy. Because my math feels math. My math feels like math. It feels correct. I feel like my math is mathin'. And yet, they feed me their lies. Their lies they feed me. Coding moment. Yeah, a real coding moment. An honest to goodness coding moment. Honest to goodness, real coding moment. Okay. Let's do something quirky. Wrapped chords. World space position. Per instance. Is there something I'm missing? Oh! It's so simple. I'm missing the vert pass. I never added the vert pass. Oh, this is the... I need to add vertex.vert. That's why. Oh my goodness. It was so simple. Yeah, no wonder it wasn't doing the thing. It wasn't included as an execution instruction or as part of the pipeline. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Didn't fix the issue. Dang it. But I feel like that eliminates one thing. Actually, let's be sure. Let's be sure. that I have this right. Surface standards, full vertex shadows, full forward shadows. Okay, and then we have our vert function here. Okay, and then let's see if that affects anything here at all. Hoping it does. Because I may just cry. Okay, and let's see if there's an offset thing here. At play, not seeing that. Even though if it was negative, it would just tile in the different direction. So no. Cool, very cool. Yeah, we could tell the shader is being recompiled. Okay. So our vert's being... Do we set it? We initialize it here. Actually, let's make sure we're setting this too. So we initialize it here. We set properties on there. Yeah, it's not like we have to return anything out here. These are in-out data. Those are input for the fragment shader. Yeah, that seems to check out. That seems to check out. Yeah, this is correct target. Or math library, that's not too important. Input. We're not doing instancing buffering or instance buffering, though that should not impact anything at all. So fun to see the troubleshooting process. I'm glad you're enjoying. I'm glad you're having a hoot and a holler. For me, it is, I would say pain, but this is my life. This is my life. We live through this. This is what we live for. I apparently desire this. Scale factors afloat. Yep, it's a uniform. Wrapped chords, X and... Wait a second. False hope. So the issue here was that we had this float 3. But no, this is the world space position that we're passing into the UV coordinates. So that would still be, that would be wrong. The only thing would be that I'm using the wrong, my world space not collision, calculations is incorrect. Object to world, but we're taking the V vertex and object space, multiplying by object to world. That should produce a world space position. And then we take that position divided by the resolution we're working at, and then I'll produce a normalized value from 0 to 1, I believe. Let's think about this. Where is our origin at again? Where's our world space origin? So this is where 0, 0 lies. So yeah, this should be all positive values, positive Z value and positive X value. Or actually, yeah, positive X. Yeah, positive Z, positive X. Okay. And Z should be Y, that's correct. Everything checks out in my brain head. But how about this? Let's do something simple. Let's make a new shader and just copy in the basic value for calculating the UV. I'm not sure what we're testing with that, but it can't hurt to do that. I just want to check to see if there's anything in my boilerplate that I'm missing that's wrong, that's incorrect, that's morally dubious, that makes me a bankrupt person morally. because that could very well be the case. I'm just the problem, the drama. In.uv main input in. I wonder if this is being, 1 second. Like, hopefully UV is not like a reserved word of some type. Oh, well that's different. Why would that, what? Oh, because we didn't change this guy. Yeah. I was like, that seems wrong. There we go. That was the issue. Is okay. UV is a reserved word. That's the issue. UV was reserved, and it was being overwritten. So I was writing the correct values. It was just getting overwritten. Oh my god! And now I can finally draw. I can finally draw the terrain. Victory! Victory! We have victory, guys. Oh my goodness. We learned something new. I didn't know UV was a reserved word in HLSO. Now we know. Now we know. I bit my butt. I bit myself in the butt by with that name change. But we're good now. We're good. Everything's good. We have victory at last. And now I can draw me textures. I can start drawing me my environment. Can I reset? Yeah, flatten tile. Thank you. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. Now we begin sculpting. Epic ever. 3 false hopes. You got it. You got 3 false hopes. 3 false hopes. Hey, 3 is a nice even number. So maybe that's a part of the victory. And now we can realize this whole area that's sunken down a little bit. Oh my goodness. I'm excited, guys. You think that'd make me mad or sad? No, I'm excited. I am filled with excitement. Because now we're gonna be level designing like no one has ever done before. Because it's one thing to use your imagination, it's another thing to actually see it on the map. And we can see all the little divots, all the stuff that's going to pop up. We're going to see how this yellow area is now going to be the low area. The low area. In fact, I should make this significantly higher. And in fact, I should make this brush a little bit wider as well. So this feels more... We can add more nuanced shapes later. But for right now, I just want to get a rough feel for this little environment we're creating for ourselves here. And fun fact, we're probably going to use a shader similar to this, or probably use the smart tile shaders for this terrain and just maybe paint different textures on there. I don't know. I might have to look into documentation of how Unity implemented their stuff so we can enable texture painting onto it. But yeah, I think it should be pretty straightforward to do this. Oh my goodness, dude, this is looking beautiful already. Okay, we have to do control here to lower this down to a valley. And then we have to make this a little bit of a higher area just by contrast. Oh, dude, this is so cool. Like, we're seeing this place become real. And then we can do a little bit of white boxing to see how this environment's going to look like. Oh, please. work with me here. Oh, this is so exciting. This kind of looks like Google Maps, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like looking at the elevations, the low poly elevations, and the lines we've drawn, it actually just straight up looks like Google Maps almost. That's pretty funny. Okay, and let's see. Take a look at this elevation here. Yep, definitely feels like a low area down there, but I want this to match. And I want to see where our little waterfall is going to happen. You know what, actually, so we can get a better feel for our water, let me swap this out for the water texture instead. Or water material, so we can see just exactly how this is going to work. Ooh. Hey. Ew, hey. Okay, cool. Now we can see explicitly where our water is. Okay, let me lower down a little bit so we can draw the remainder of our archaeological features. Huh. It's kind of how Google Earth does it. Yeah, to be that's 100% how they do it actually. Now that I think about it, like they actually are just generating basic 3D meshes and projecting their 2D map data onto that. I don't think I've ever put 2 and 2 together, but yeah, I guess that's kind of how it works. Archipelago. And we're gonna play this as the character and see just how either annoying or awesome this environment is gonna be. And then the bridges are gonna look so pronounced in comparison too. I kinda wanna have the lighting be a bit more, light source be a little bit more drastic, just so we can better see the contours of this environment, but and of course we're gonna have to flatten down certain areas, some certain features. Give them a nice high and tight haircut. And I want to make this geologically. If we're gonna do a little waterfall, there has to be like an elevation here for the water to fall from. All right. So this whole basin might have to be a little bit more elevated. And I have to try to smooth this out. Let's grab the player and let's actually try playing through this just as is. And just get a feel for how these elevations feel, for lack of a better word. And we're gonna go to this. Where's environment? Yes. We didn't even name this, but I think I made a name actually. Real level. So we don't overwrite our current existing one, and then let's grab the player who's probably trapped underneath. Yeah, here. He's no clipping. Oh my goodness, these elevations looks ridiculous next to him. It looks ridiculous. but actually kind of cool too. Oh my goodness, this is so freaking cool, dude. I'm so excited. Are we making the greatest game known to man? Probably. Gonna put Nintendo out of business. We're gonna buy Nintendo with the money from all $5 we make from this game. All right, let's see. Why are we not? Oh, I know. This level isn't registered. Yeah. That's probably the issue here. Okay, we're gonna save this back as level 1. So we don't have to deal with this level issues. I can undo this changes later. Level assets. Some land. Yeah. Full commit. Full send. Open world game. Holy moly. Yeah. Oh, brother. Bro, this actually looks like the mountain actually makes sense over there now. Oh, that's a bumpy. I'm glad I coded the dash to work on the tangents of the surface. Like now it makes sense to have done that. Because now you dash tangent to the surface. Yeah. Oh, brother. Oh, dude, this is so cool. It's actually open world, dude. All right, let's see how this is. So these some features are gonna have to change a little bit, but let's see. Yeah, because that's gonna be the death place. The water's gonna be where you die. The water's where you go for bad things to happen. And then we have to make a little bit more open spots. Like, it's cool that everything's bumpy, but I think there's a need to have certain areas that are leveled or a bit more normalized. Oh yeah. The water goes down there. I can't get over how cool this is, dude. I cannot. It's so freaking cool. There's so much possibility. You need to fill that out a little bit, but yeah. Oh my goodness, dude. I am so happy. We haven't even done assets. This is just like white boxing, essentially. I mean, or terrain painting, but we're going to do some white boxing now. But dude, it just feels so significant. This looks wholly different than anything I would have produced, or we've produced so far. That's for sure. Where is the... Oh, there's the thing. Oh, but it opens up avenues, man. New avenues, new possibilities. That's the coolest thing. And if we did the easy route of just saying, hey, screw it, we're going to make the game what it is, man. Whatever. I would never have come across this. We wouldn't have done the dust mechanic that we have, that Super Mario Sunshine looking thing. We wouldn't have this if we took the easy route. Oh, we need more elevation though to get that dramatic look we had from that other thing. From like, let's go back here. Let's see if I can find the piece. But yeah, we would have missed out on this sick thing. Like, yeah, this need a little bit more. If we pause at the right place, yes. I get the snipping tool out. No, I missed it. I just missed it. Helps a lot visualizing. Yeah, honestly. The less your brain has to work to visualize it, the better, the more bandwidth for other ideas you have. Let's see if we can recreate this look, this appeal. Let me put it on my little CRT monitor. Boom. That's what you exist for, buddy. Oh yeah. Oh dude. Perfect game. Yeah, we have to make, so okay, this is gonna be a first instance of really nuanced environment stuff, or even establishing the like, what does a more, because this is just outlining basic blobs for everything, just a general form of the map. But let's see if we can actually achieve something specific, and that's going to resemble closer to what we want to have as the end product. Maybe not end product in terms of like fidelity, but end product in terms of the fine-tuned control over the terrain. I'm so excited, man. This is so freaking it's so cool. These little wins is what makes making games so cool. Like, I think I've said it before, and I think it's true for most people. I don't actually care about, like, I care about the end product, but I don't care about actually getting there. Like, we're gonna get there, it's gonna happen. There's a definite beginning and end I have for this game in mind, and we're gonna do it. But I feel like the most rewarding thing is just the creation process, man. The creating. And once we get done creating, there's gonna be kind of a hole there, dude. Brush. And then as we start making the next game. Messi mentioned Deuce. We might have to do smooth height. I think that just smooths it. I don't think it elevates it to a specific level. Yeah, there's set height and there's smooth height. I don't think that's achieving what I wanted to achieve. Stamp terrain, stamp height. Okay. This is something. Okay, I think we're gonna do lower. Like this. Yeah. So we can have a more strongly defined but leveled area. We're gonna make a brush opacity even smaller. 0.1. And then so now we have this moor that's kind of going to push people towards a certain direction. And honestly, I'd probably I don't even have to make the land too perfect here, because we're probably going to lay down actual assets here for the sidewalks. But this already alone kind of implies some infrastructure work because of how clean and sharp these cuts are. Like, if you go into the Midwest, when you go into the Midwest, you start seeing all these places where mountains have been and hills have been cut through. I think whenever you update the build, if if I'm permitted, I could playtest and give my own feedback. I kind of got into, oh yeah, 100%. We actually do public playtest sessions. We haven't done it in a while because this game has gone through an identity change this past 2 months. So before we were doing kind of semi-regular public playtest sessions. But yeah, I'll definitely open for it. In fact, that's the big thing I asked for is for feedback, and then also bugs. Like any bugs people encounter, I need to know about it. But outside of that, I'm also kind of considering hiring people to do some QA playtesting. It's gonna be very different than just them playing it. Usually you want to have them record and narrate their thought process of a game, and ideally they should have zero prior knowledge of the game. So we're gonna have to do that as well. But that's much more just for UXing specific things for people who are not as versed with some of the conventions. There's still a lot of value in the feedback of the people who are following this development. I think whatever you update the build, yeah, it's the same then. Yeah, my bad. I thought I have this stream overlay thing that makes a beep sound, and sometimes I occasionally hear it by accident. Okay, so we have this. We have to make this a road though, so we have to clear out some path here. But yeah, like in as you go eastward or westward, no, eastward, yeah, in the States, you start coming across these highways where they cut through hills like this, and it's very sharp and very strong, and it's super cool because you see sometimes flowing water, you see a slice of the geology that compose these big hills. It's super, I love it. Absolutely love it. Super interesting. I have a bunch of photos for that too, so I can probably use that as a reference for this. But yeah, I think that's likely what I want to do here, is have this implication of, hey, we've cut through this stuff to create this environment that you're now using. And I have to see how the wall grabbing stuff works. The wall grabbing is something that I'm super on the fence about. I initially wanted it because I like Mega Man X, and I've never seen a 3D platformer use that kind of wall grabbing mechanic. But now I'm kind of seeing how it's kind of why that's the case, because it's very weird and ambiguous in 3D. Like in 2D, it's very clear what the input is and what your intention is when you're next to a wall. In 3D, you kind of have to interpret it, and it may or may not be super intuitive for people. And I realize I'm starting to stumble into this UX problem space of how do you translate, can you translate this mechanic? Or actually, that's not, we've translated it, we made it happen. Is it usable for users, for the end users? Is it intuitive? Is it enjoyable to use it? Because if it's not enjoyable to use it and it feels unintuitive and it's just very hard for you to adapt to it, or if it feels inconsistent, then no one wants to use it. It doesn't become a selling point for your game. It becomes a burden of the game that your users unfortunately have to overcome to be able to enjoy the product. And that's not good. You want the players to enjoy the game you're making, right? So we have to design for those affordances. You're gonna have to smooth this out a little bit. Let's keep doing this, and then I'm gonna bring back that little texture we have, that little tile that was underneath before, just so we can see how this looks. Where the water floor is, because right now we've been kind of loosey-goosey. We don't really know where the water floor is, but now we gotta know it. Yeah, we're gonna say that's our water floor. Oh, that's super cool. Super duper cool. And art style too. Sometimes grabbable stuff are highlighted in specific ways instead of being globally applied in every surface. Yeah, right now the wall grabbing is globally applied everywhere, but maybe we can do it a thing where like I saw this in two-player productions documentary for ooh, this feels way bigger than what was depicted over there. Maybe we go to the town, we can do more smaller things like this. But yeah, no, in their two-player production thing, they're showing how there's certain ledges that are grabbable and certain ledges that aren't. For us, it's every wall they can wall grab onto, because we were trying to emulate Mega Man X movement in 3D. And it kind of works in this context. Like right now, when you're jumping and you go onto the wall, you hold left to stay onto it. So context like this, it seems fine. But that's to me, right? I implemented it, I know exactly how this behaves. It'll be a very different story for somebody else. Oh man. Like there's things that need to be fixed and addressed here for sure, and to achieve that effect we had in that image that I posted before, you'd probably want this chasm to be much smaller actually. Which I may be in favor of doing, because this pools of water are not doing anything for you. Like they're just limiting, they're just saying, hey, you're dead here. So if I could expand the environment more, that means more places for the player to move, explore, more spaces for NPCs or environments or combat or whatever we want to have or do. This environment's cool too, because the enemy bullets now, like they can hit a lot more things in their surroundings, so that's now a consideration, your environment getting dirty from them. I'm so happy with this, dude. I cannot. This is such a big game changer. I'm probably sounding like a broken record, but doggy dog. This is so cool. This is so freaking cool. I'm so freaking happy. Okay, can we stamp? Set height. Where's height is gonna be? Opacity more? Okay, this is super aggressive. But that's probably what we want for this more human infrastructure type thing. So we're gonna do let's do 100. I tend to break games very easily. That's important. That's great. Also, you can still draw in the image and it'll still get protected. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. The issue is that I freehand drew this picture, or I freehand snipped it. That's the big problem. So, like, it's not snapped to a canvas, so there's gonna be a little bit of discrepancy when I go on here and do that. Yeah, we're probably gonna have to. We're probably gonna have to make a new image. Ooh, the aliasing here is gonna be kind of bad though, because this is a raster based bump map we're dealing with here. Or it's not a bump map, it's something else. But yeah, these things are gonna be so okay. Any place where there's gonna be sharp kind of human architectural stuff, we're just gonna have to put our own mesh there and define those things, because a weakness of this is sharp edges. So that's just how it's gonna be. That's what we're gonna have to, the price we have to pay. Technically. Well, you saved the low quality PNG technically. Yeah, low quality and then arbitrarily cropped. So Yeah, we're gonna have to go back and make this better, or we just say screw it. We are happy with having this working directly onto the level itself, as opposed to this image to map things out, and we can just start plopping things there. I don't know. I should probably get Pro Builder. I've tried to avoid it, but I don't want to. I want to limit the amount of time I'm spending going between Blender and Unity. And for this kind of thing, especially for this type of gameplay, I think it'll just be better just to have a tool explicitly meant for white boxing or doing rudimentary modeling in editor. It's unfortunately one of those things. Oh my goodness, oh my stars. I forgot the opacity is set pretty high. Yeah, we want this to be a little bit far too. Yeah. Okay, so we're starting. This is good we did this, because now we know the limitations of this terrain editing tool. We have to stick to more organic shapes in general. That's just how them's the breaks. Them's the breaks. And then I want to see if I can play around with, because this is supposed to be like PS1 styled. So we want to also try to achieve some of those effects. Part of it's going to be the shader itself. Part of it's going to be some of the terrain settings we have here. So trying to make things a bit different in terms of how, like for example, the normals are calculated. Their normals are very smooth. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want me rough normals. The smoothing edges when drawing, cause yep. But it's wait. Also, it should be better to remove the smoothing edges when drawing, because the elevation thing does blur. Are you talking about the smooth edges in the texture that's being projected on here, or the smooth edges of the actual terrain? Wouldn't it be possible to lower the amounts of polygons and elevation the elevation tool works with? You can lower the resolution. So we can lower the resolution to like something like 128, and that would, in effect, result in lower polygons. It's so weird. It's not power of 2. And we will achieve that effect, but you still have attempts from on their end to make the normals smoother. So they actually have smooth normals, so there's no hard edge in the geometry. That's something on their end. I think there is a setting for that though. Detail distance, that's for trees and stuff like that. If not, I can try doing something in the material. Pixel error. And then we're also going to do that PS1 wobbly effect. Oh, I meant texture before. Yeah. Okay, cool. No, this is going to be very different. This is going to be, the texture we use is going to be very different. And also the lighting might be a little bit different too, but I'm not sure if I want to crash. I'm not sure if I want to cross that bridge. Because we implemented a basic rendering pipeline in a separate project, but it doesn't have shadows like this that are drawn on, and that's kind of important for some of the effects you want to have here. I mean, it seems like this, not that we're trying to get the same exact thing, but shadow that's casted from environments is so important. So yeah, I need to find a way to program it to have that be done if we decide to go that way. But if we go our own rendering pipeline route, then we can control how not the projected shadows, but the, like this, for example, the shadows for the faces, how we can change how things are lit and make them operate using more PS1 styled lighting, like vertex lighting or something like that, which would be super duper cool, and it would add to the effect. It might even make it, and it definitely would make it easier on the computer, because we're not going to be using as many different samplers and whatnot. There's less data that's going to be hucked over to the GPU, and there's going to be less overhead of data per material and shader instance, or shader and material instance. Like, it's makes things super duper easy. Auto connect, draw. Oh, we can toggle that on and off. Instance, enable ray tracing support. Nah. Oh wait, we do need that. Okay. Pixel error, base map distance, blend probes. And there's the basic material. Yeah. Wind settings. Yeah, we can play with the texture resolution, but yeah, as far as the mesh generation, let's see, it's not in the separate component here. Yeah, it's for the collision detection. Yeah, it's for the collider. Yep. Yeah, I might have to just go on a forum or look into documentation and see if there's any way to bypass it or intercept. Oh, we can intercept. Yeah, we can just do that in the material shader. That's easy. We can just we can just do it in the vertex pass and just manually change the normal to not be sharper. This already feels more. Just lowering that resolution though does quite a bit. In fact, I wonder how it looked even lower. Not bad, actually. Not too shabby. Though these artifacts are not great. You're seeing the... So, okay, we have to try to avoid that stuff so it's not as apparent. Or design around them so that the terrain features can be more orthogonal. Okay, noted. Cool. So let's go back to our little map here and plan things out. This little tutorial. Because there's some things that are needed. And in fact, we should probably... Oh, you know what? I'm dumb. This doesn't have to be complicated. I can just open up the texture we just saved. That's the NPC we did earlier today. Why am I being dumb about this? We have the texture here. So we can just keep drawing directly on it. Yeah. You don't have to worry about... So simple. That's probably what you're talking about, and I just didn't comprehend it. So yeah, we would need to have a thing to show them, hey, you can jump around, buddy. You can, or you need to learn how to move and jump. So we can do like a, probably even like a little puddle reservoir here. That's gonna be their thing where like we have to channel them. Like there's gonna be heights here that funnels them this way through this little puddle. And we have like a little water basin. Yeah, this is actually a real phenomenon that happens, like horseshoes that form. Where maybe before the lake was like this, but then as erosion happens, they get closer and closer until they kiss in the middle here. And when that happens, it erodes away, and instead you're left with this. And what remains is this horseshoe shape. That's cool. So we have something that's like ecological, like this ecological phenomenon, though I'm not sure it would have appeared like this here. This seems kind of improbable. It would be within here, but still, like, it's kind of cool that kind of, it reflects something that real that happens. And then we're gonna have platforms sticking out here and here that basically say, hey, Mr. Player, you can jump around and do stuff. So they learn how to jump. Maybe even teach them how to dash. Like, have one jump where it's just too far away and they have to dash across. So maybe they learn how to jump here and here. In fact, have them start here, so we can go with the shape of this little horseshoe. And then have something that requires this dashing to get across here. And then from there, we can have a path. And then transition to a wide area where you get them exposed to combat. So I think the first NPC would be like, hey, there's bad guys. Well, actually, the first NPC is going to introduce you to it's going to set up the main enemy, the main bad guy who's going to be in these lands. So it's going to set up the first narrative arc for the game. Now, does it make sense to have a farm here? Probably not. Probably not, because like as erosion happens, these two lane streams are going to collide and whatever. Who cares? It's a video game. It's a video game. So we have the farm here, or the house here, and then the farm patches here. In fact, I'd like to make one part of the level like rice fields, because rice fields look super cool if you look for them. So you've done some Metroidvania stuff and backtracking away. Oh right, player movement is going to be limited at first. Actually, since the levels are more open, you want some areas to not be accessible without power-ups. Yeah. Honestly, I was even contemplating not even giving them the dash at the very beginning, but it's like the Mega Man X thing for me. The dash is super fun to use. I like using it, limiting it, and it's kind of very helpful. Or ubiquitous to the gameplay. Well, I guess it's an interesting design decision, because in X, there's a lot of times where you just need it. You actually just straight up need it. So not starting with it is kind of a bad thing, which is why later entries give you the dash from the jump. In this game, sure, we can have things locked away where you can't get it without the dash, and that's fine. We just have to make sure that anything else in the game doesn't use it. But yes, things like the double jump, for example, or maybe even a second dash or something. Like, we can do stuff like that and have places sealed away where you can't get it until you get it. You can't get to that area without getting that power up. So yeah, we can do some Metroidvania type stuff. And again, it goes back to that whole fundamental game loop where we're trying to reward exploration, and any way to reinforce that type of play is needed. So having multiple systems in game that reinforce it makes perfect sense. I'm starting to realize I don't know how a farm looks like, do I? Starting to realize I don't know what a farm looks like. Let's look at Puerto Rico. I think there's a lot of influences here from Puerto Rico. No, not this one. That's an observatory, not a satellite. There we go. this kind of stuff. Wait, let's see. Yeah, Hurricane Maria, that happened. I mean, we could just do simple grids. I think there's nothing wrong with just doing simple grids. I think the space that's afforded here, though, is kind of... Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. And we can make some... Think more about certain things. What, the alien farm is that? Well, what part of this? No, that seems more normal. Yeah, there we go. That's what I think of when it comes to rice farms. What about what if we do a specific city like Naguabo? Not even rice, just do farm. Yeah, super. I'm looking at Puerto Rico because it's like the island is has a lot of elevation changes. So when I look at farms, usually they're very flat. But in Puerto Rico, you see more things, and it seems like the better place of inspiration when it comes to that, just because of there's actually farms in the elevated places. Yeah, I don't know. Could need a windmill. That's a good idea. Yeah, I have to look into this. I have to do some learning. There's a gap in my knowledge. Agriculture. But I want to do it right. So better to learn about this stuff. But yeah, either way, we're gonna have a plot of land like this. Yeah, and honestly, looking at how this is gonna work, it's like the player's gonna be in this valley. So it's not gonna make the most sense ecologically, but whatever. Game comes first. Okay, let's save this. And let's go back to the game. And now we have our little farm patches there, which right now does not look great. And let's put the player at their starting point. Where you're at. Thank you. You belong over here. Let's get a feel for this stuff. And think about how much this elevation. Yeah, so we have to. Yeah, we have to make this. Okay, cool. So somehow we have to make it where you can't just jump from here over there. And then you enter to here. And then you enter here, and there's like a little house. You can talk to an NPC here, and then there's their farm. There's enemies that are messing it up. Now you get to learn about combat a little bit. Cool, we do the combat thing. Geez, this is actually kind of quite a lot of real estate for a farm. Not gonna lie. So we can afford to have this become more hilly and funneled in all honesty. Okay. And then there's a fountain where you can clean your mop. And then there's that. Yep. Oh. I heard a weird sound effect. Not a windmill. I meant a water mill. Maybe you can use. Oh yeah. As a platform elevator. So yeah, that's a cool idea. Yeah. Dog. With all these great ideas, you're getting yourself into a credit, my friend. I love water wheels, dude. They're so sick. I was like, you said a windmill. I was like, all right, let me think about that. Like, I guess if you're processing grain, you'd want to do that. But no, the water wheel makes a lot more sense. Or not a lot more sense, because the windmill also makes sense in this context if you're farming grain. Or maybe other things too that need to be ground. But yeah, that'd be super sick. Though the water wheel may be... Let's think. You have to connect to the water here somewhere. It has to be next to some kind of running water. So maybe have it where you have to go... Or maybe for another part of the level. Because this is going to be... We're keeping things simple here. Everything should be static because you're just getting acquainted with the movement mechanics. But in another part of this level, yes. I can totally see. In fact, maybe even before the waterfall. Like we can have a little house over there that does that. Oh, that'd be so sick. Yeah, I think over there, right before the waterfall, that would be a great place to put that. Dude, I'm so jazzed. I haven't even touched my tea, dude. I'm just yapping away. It's because so much going on here, so much cool stuff. Like I can't, like now that we have this terrain thing, we can think about environments in a fundamentally different way. It's so cool. Okay. Let's start making the geological features we described. And then, oh, and I can't wait. Once we have the environments, then the NPCs are going to become so easy because we have like this idea of this place that they're inhabiting and the different things that can arise from it, right? Like the environment sets a stage for all these characters. I'm just having fun chilling around, following a cool developing process. Yeah, dude, for real. No. I super appreciate it. It's cool when it's because like, as a developer, right? I always had this thing where when I make a game, there's something that's really cool about it to me. And my hope is that other people see that. Like, it's very odd. Not even just with making games, but also art in general. Positive, like I don't actually like positive reviews. Like just simple positive reviews, they don't mean anything to me. They're like pouring water into a bucket with a hole in it. Like it's nothing. Like I guess that's nice, whatever, right? It does not impact me in any shape or form. But when someone gets and sees a thing that I saw as beautiful and wonderful about the thing I created, that they see the same spark that I saw, oh, dude, that is the best thing ever. Because then for a minute, someone enters your headspace and they see the thing that you're trying to communicate. They see the thing you're trying to do, and they like it, and they like it's a far deeper level of appreciation, a far more meaningful thing to me. I'm not trying to be mean about positive reviews. Like that's not the intention. Is just that like when you're doing anything creative, I think there's an intention for you to connect with the players, or for the player to connect with you in some way. So when someone gets it and they see it and they understand the intent, and then that's like, okay, someone gets it now. They connect with me. They get that part of me that I've imbued into this. And that's beautiful, dude. That's beautiful. No, thank you. And I think most of my creative life has just been trying to take these experiences and share it with other people and have them see that same thing that I see. Like the usual good job and that's it. Hey, I'm trying to get into your same thinking process, even though I have little to no idea to your game visions, but sharing mine helps. Oh yeah, definitely. And I think there's a bit of a layer interface that's happening here, because there's some themes about the game I wish to keep a bit secret, just so that as people get into the game, they can have that intrigue and unravel it. Even for you, right? I don't want to spill the beans about what this game's vision is. Also, partly because when having things be open allows you the space to try to come to your own meaning and conclusions about what you've experienced. So if I were to say explicitly what I've been thinking about this and what are informing the design decisions I'm making, it closes that open loop. It removes that space for interpretation and for making it personal to you. Because although I want to, part of making games is trying to make something that people can connect to with something I'm thinking about. There's also the part of it where you can make this game personal to someone, where person A plays it and gets this specific thing from it, and person B plays it and they get their own specific thing from it, and they kind of experience a different game as a result of that ambiguity that you afforded them. So as a designer, I have this responsibility to kind of manage the information about this game, its intentions, its goals, and instead provide fertile ground for your imagination to go wild. Because I think there's something that's a commodity that's not always encouraged, is creativity and imagination. It's very few games I find that encourage you to use your imagination. And maybe I just haven't played enough. But it's something special when you have a game that activates your imagination, because that's the thing that ties you to your childhood. That's the thing that makes you feel like a kid again. Like, I think the biggest thing that you have as a kid is imagination, and along the line you start losing it. So when you have an experience that forces you to use that muscle that you don't touch regularly, it's something impactful and that stays with you. Oh man. Not to wax poetic, but that's the kind of responsibility I place on myself as a designer. It's cool though, and we have to see how this turns out. I am kind of a neophyte when it comes to design. Most of my life has been spending learning the basics of making games, like the core components like music or art or programming. And now we're finally at the stage where I get to actually work on design. I'm so used to the concrete bits that now I haven't had much experience working on the actual design aspect of games. And now that we're here, there's quite a bit of a gap in design that I'm trying to fill. If I can't do it with experience, may as well do it with knowledge. And by knowledge I mean like consuming other media and analyzing it, not reading a book about design. Not to say there's no good books about game design, but I feel like to really understand it, experiencing it is kind of the best teacher. Oh man, it's fun, dude. This is super fun. Come on, a little bit more opacity, please. There we go. Then we can do some smoothing here. I just need to achieve the elevation I desire, and then we can do the thing. Nice. Okay. And now we can try smoothing this out. Smooth height. And then make a bigger brush. So we can have a more even elevation here. Very nice. And I was going to do walls, but honestly, the fact that we have this water here just kind of prevents you from trying to jump over, so there's no need to mitigate that. No need to mitigate that. Raise and lower terrain. And then again, go back to smooth. We should probably save. That's kind of important, right? Probably should save this. And I kind of want to export this bump map as well. Oh, this smooth texture thing just works so well. Okay, let's try giving this another, and then smooth it a little bit actually before I do anything else. So we have ground that feels somewhat leveled. There we go. Ah, beautiful. Beautiful, darling. Can we give this another try? Okay. And we have this here. See, like I need to find a way to prevent them from just walking around though and be like, yeah, screw the tutorial. We're gonna go here. Yeah, that's why we want to. Okay, yeah. I have some ideas. Yeah, there's some things we can do there. And then this is the house. And there's a farm, and we can clearly see the bad guys are going to be placed there. And this works great because the terrain has the tools for putting foliage down, so we can paint this pretty easily. Yeah, dude. Oh, there's so much possibilities, man. Okay, you know what? I think we're gonna call it the stream here. I'm gonna get some food. I'm gonna rest up. I got work in the morning. But, oh my goodness, this progress is so... I felt very lost in terms of how we're gonna make a non-linear level, and I think we solved the problem here. I think we've achieved what we desired to achieve. And even with just basic textures, this already feels so much... so much better. Oh yeah, dude. Oh wait, there's some dirt textures here too. I just realized the dirt map is still applied onto this. Kind of, but not really, but somewhat. I don't know. Okay, thank you guys for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed it. still got a lot of work to do. We got NPCs to finish coloring. We got dialogue systems to refactor. We have levels to design. But, you know, honestly, that just means there's more fun for us to do. More game deving to enjoy. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I think we're going to keep streaming to both Switch and YouTube. I think this is the move. So, yeah. If you'd like to see more, you're already in the Discord, Noodle. You're already on everything. You already understand it. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys later. Till then,